All right. I think we are good. Okay. You guys had enough of uh, remote classes for the day? Try to get the chat open so I can see what's going on. Why can't I see the chat? Thank you, Summer, for. There we go. Okay. So try not to make this a long drawn out process, but we do have things to go over to stay on track. And part of what I want to do is get through some of that. Then I want to talk about sort of life of the project and the risk management, and wrap up one more section of styles of management that I got to talk about from the other day. So we're gonna start with that, and sure I got a black pen. And this, I want to do one thing here first. I keep hearing pings in the background. And you definitely don't need to see my ceiling, so I'm going to turn that off. And okay, this to there. Well, I think we're good. Okay. All right. So styles and management. There's two of them that we got to talk about. One, oops, let's get this popped out. One is reactive. Be nice to write on the same line. Okay. And this, can't spell for anything today now. That's a V. Requires decisiveness. Quick action.
Mr. Newt.
Yeah, you can't see anything, can you?
It's not sharing right now.
Yeah. Thanks. Sorry. How's that?
No, you're good. I just heard you talk. I was like, oh, this is the lecture, right?
Yeah, it's a lecture.
Yeah, we can see it now. You're good.
Okay, so we need two styles of management. One is reactive, requires decisiveness, quick action, and okay, so the last statement here is problem solving has no time for input. Basically, you're going to react to whatever happened and you're going to come up with an answer, and it may not be the best answer of the day, but it is an answer. Reactive happens. The real trick is you want to be in this next one more times than you are reactive. So proactive, and we're looking So basically, you want to get to them before they happen. And this gives you time let's put in time to discuss solutions with others. And if we were in the classroom, we'd probably go around ask you all which style of management you kind of do. The answer is there's no single one of these two that's the dominant. You're going to have to sometimes be reactive because that's the problem that discovered. Proactive is where you'd like to be because that's a lot less stress on everybody concerned. So with that, that's the things that you have to do and think about your style. So we'll leave that to the style people, and I got to get you out of the way because you're not in the right place. Let's move, please. Move. Okay. Now the next piece I got to talk about is risk. Risk management. Nope, not supposed to underline for accessibility issues. And we're going to stop moving the mouse in the wrong direction. There are three types of risk: known, knowns. Okay. Basically, it is documents. It's all documented. So a known is you know you're going to have a crane that you need on the job. You know that it's scheduled for week 6. You know that the other project that your company's working on has the crane. You know the likelihood that it may not show up on time. So what are you going to do? That's kind of what you're managing there. Okay. The next one is a known unknown. It could happen. Okay. An example would be okay, so a change order that happens. You know there will be one. Might as well just get used to that fact up front. but what you don't know is exactly when it will happen. So that's a concern, but there's nothing you can do about it. How do you react to it when it's an unknown time that that's going to happen? The last one's an unknown unknown. So a risk that you couldn't predict, no one could. SUNY Canton going remote today. Although we did predict it, we saw the weather forecast. We knew that we were going to have a remote day because of the likelihood of too much snow to deal with. But let's say you get a hurricane that shows up. Is it in your path? Well, forecasts say no, but all of a sudden it shifts overnight and now it is in your path. What do you do and how do you deal with it? Okay. So it's that kind of stuff. Basically, I always look at unknown unknowns as you need a fortune teller and they better be really accurate. Any questions on risk management? Okay. All right. Now I think we're down to project life cycle, which is where I want to put, this diagram in. Let me get this moved back up now. Project life cycle. So we have initiation. So initiation comes with a contract. Before the contract, it could be a request for a bid. All right. And planning will happen with the estimate of materials, time, better word would be scheduling, job costs. All that stuff happens as part of planning. Okay. Now I know there's some overlap here, so I want to look at this for a minute. Initiation means I basically get a reason to start bidding this job. Let's give you a good example. Or let's say we're building a roadway. DOT puts out a request to have a road built. One of the favorite ones on campus. We want a bridge on the north end of campus that goes out onto Riverside Drive. Let's say they finally get around to putting in a bridge or design a bridge for this. The first thing that'll go out is a request for bids. Usually goes to the local builders exchange. They put up the plans. Everybody who's a member gets free access to it, and you get to see what the original plans were. Okay. Then that's going to take you from bid down into this phase where you're estimating schedules and job costs and all that sort of stuff. So that's part of the planning. But that will then take you back, when all that's said and done, that'll take you back up here to getting a contract. Okay. So a contract is what has to happen before you can actually start any work. So now you're down to initiation once the contract's been issued, and this is a loop between initiation and planning. Go do this. Once you get the contract, you're going to review Um, review your schedule, because up to this point, everything you've done has been basically theoretical. We're going to get this job. We're going to bid it for this. We're going to have this much equipment on hand. We're going to deal with everything that's going on. So once you start reviewing your schedules, you're going to find out, okay, I can execute this and it'll happen. And then it's going to go from there down to execution. And this is day one on the job. Okay. And some stuff that happens between the planning of your schedule once you get a contract and day one is marshaling of resources. Okay. Once you get all that organized and staged someplace where you can move it in, on day one, you move all the stuff in on the job. That's when you have the go ahead to actually occupy the site. All right, then we're moving to monitoring. And basically, this is a daily, weekly, sometimes it's a 3 to 8 week review with contractors or subs if you're the primary contractor. And then we're trying to look back at fixing the schedule. We'll talk more about this area when we get down to schedules and stuff, but generally this is what's happening every time you get to actually operating the job. You're constantly monitoring and supervising and writing down stuff and recording evidence and that sort of stuff. All right, then we actually move to the closing phase. Okay, and closing is removal of extra material, equipment, and putting landscape right. I know, Brett, you're a landscape guy and you really like landscape, but I'm not talking about putting the trees right, although part of it is putting the trees right, but it's also putting the landscape of the job right. Did I clean up everything? Did I have anything left over? It's punch list time. It's things the owner wants completed. If all that's clear and good and you got all your contractors out of there, you got all your tools, extra wire, extra cables, extra ducts, extra lumber, extra metal framing, all the extra concrete that was dropped on the site someplace, cleaned up, put away, you're good to leave. At that point, your closing then comes down to basically wrapping up your budget. That's a W. So you may have a job, or let's do it this way. You got a job that lasts month 1 through month 9. That's month. That's not month. Okay, but you will have 2 additional budget months to deal with, and we'll go over this in the future too. So, but generally, that's the life cycle of a project. Anybody got questions on life cycle? Other than I managed to write that all in red pen. Let's see, chat. Okay, no, we have no chat out there. Okay, sweet. And that brings us to this little bit. So I want to talk about the cycle of a project, and then we'll get into some other things here in a minute, but just kind of wrapping up. Let's make that bigger. Time. Quality. And then we got another one that's cost and scope. Okay. So quality of the project and your time go up in this fashion. Okay. So the longer the time goes on, the more time you have for quality. But with the scope, you want low cost up front and go to here. And that's the way the project theoretically works. Okay. Let's have everybody good on that before I slide too far up. Okay, not hearing any. This is how things kind of work. We got time. We got money. Okay. And in the beginning, you got high cost. Okay. So you'd like to be able to do this. Bill your cost to the owner, reduce it as you go on to here. Okay. So this is the contractor's goal. For money. This is the owner's. Okay. So the reality is you got to be someplace in the middle with practicality. You as the contractor need money to get the job started. Though you will have a certain amount of capital that you will borrow from the bank to start this job, and then you will have to start paying things out. Then you'll have to reborrow money, but you'll also get money from the owner to pay for some the interest rate and some of the principal back to the banks. Okay, there's no easy way about this, but generally, contractors want all the money up front, then get to the bottom. The owner doesn't want to pay anything until they actually have work done. So you're going to try and find a happy ground in the middle of that. Any questions on what that looks like? Don't see any. Okay. All right. So I need to get this copied. And I need to put it into this one. All right. Well, that copied everything in the wrong places. Cool. Let's see if we can do that again without having all this junk in it. Okay. Let me undo this. That didn't copy the way I was hoping to. And I don't want all you. Bear with me. This was going to be easier. It was going to be live. All right. Now, copy. No. We brought the whole thing again. Sorry, folks. I'm talking to myself. It's not working the way I wanted it to. Can I get just the... Okay, well, we're not going to do it that way. It's going to take forever. All right, so let's talk about schedules next. This should be a whole new lecture, but I'm just going to do it on this page. So schedules, we have things called Gantt charts. Okay, and actually I don't want that line. I want task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, task 5, task 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's play with those. Okay, and these are the work descriptions. Okay, and then I'm going to have column for duration, and then I'm going to have a start, a stop date, and then we'll get into calendars, and I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so here's the fun. All right, we're going to deal with creating peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So a schedule for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And you're lucky today because you would not be actually sitting here doing this for me without I just stopped the class and made you think about all how you make a peanut butter jelly sandwich, but I'm not going to waste your time doing that today. We're going to try and get through this. Okay, so first thing is we got gather the bread. Okay, duration should take 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to start it at 4:30, and gathering the bread should stop at 4:31. Okay, that makes sense so far? Summer, does that make sense? Make sure you guys are listening out there. Cool, thumbs up, cool. All right, next, find peanut butter and jelly. Okay, we need a knife. Okay, You could use a spoon, I suppose, but you need some sort of utensils to get both these out of there. Okay, so there's our first 3 tasks. Find the peanut butter. Well, actually, here's a mistake already. I started it at 4:30. I ended it at 4:31, but I said it was a 5-minute duration. So this would have been a problem. This should have been 5:35. Okay, let's say this takes 1 minute, and I'm going to start it at 5:36, and it goes to 4:36 to 4:37. Okay, 1 minute to find a knife. 4:38. Well, we could do this as 4:37. 2, 4, 1 minute, 38. Okay. Now we need a place to spread the bread. With PB&J. Okay. So let's say you got a dirty kitchen. That's going to take 2 minutes. Okay. So 4:38 to 4:40. All right, we're already 10 minutes into making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. From that, we actually get to start spreading. Spread peanut butter. Okay. Step 7 will be to spread the jelly. And yeah, I know, you could spread jelly, then peanut butter. Step 8 is match the bread together. And the last one, put it on a plate. Okay, so spreading peanut butter, let's say it takes you 2 minutes. So 4:40 to 4:42. Spread the jelly. It's thin, so we can do it in a minute. 4:42 to 4:43, and that's 1 minute. Slap the bread together. We'll call it 30 seconds. And now we're down to 4:43 and 30 seconds. And then we end that at 4:44. 4:44 to 4:45 becomes putting it on the plate. 1 minute. Number 10 would be eat it. Okay, and that takes you 5 minutes. Say you're in a rush. 4:45 to 4:50. Okay, so that's a schedule. This bit right here that I just described on work description, this is what's called a work breakdown. Okay, schedule. All right, and that is usually abbreviated WBS. So as you see that, that's what you're going to be looking for. Okay. Now there's lots of ways to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You have to follow what I just basically did here, but generally, this is the WBS. Okay. And then we'll actually build a schedule to the right of this. What I just did here too is this whole thing all the way over to days and months is called a Gantt chart. And that is our primary tool for controlling schedules. Okay, so when we get that, that's how we're going to do this. Okay, how are we doing on time here? So far, so good. Wrong mouse. All right. So far, so good. Any questions? All right. Let's get into the heart of scheduling. So, all right. The first one is your and I didn't spell that right. That's an I. Preliminary schedule. This one you did at the time of built at the time you did the bid. So you can't really bid a job unless you know how long it's going to take you to do it. You'll never make any money at it. Okay. It has the work breakdown schedule to it. It has major phases. Okay. What else I want to put with major phases? Oh yeah. The other phrase is major phases or milestones. Okay. I've also heard them as gateway events. Okay. So milestones are things they used to use before they actually did paved roads. They'd put a stone every mile in England to let you know how far away you were from London to Londonderry, for instance. Gateway events became analogies for the sheep herding industry. When they kind of push sheep through gates, you have to bring everything down to a choke point and push that all through. So it's a critical event or a place along the way in your schedule that'll tell you when you've reached the end of a major phase and moving on to the next. Okay. All right. Number 2 is a baseline. Okay. And this one is okay. So this one is actually the one you're going to live by and die by. Um, your company will make a um, bid. You've done a preliminary schedule to get you some idea of what it's going to take and cost and timeline to get the job done, know whether you're going to do it, think you all things through. But when you get ready to sign a contract, you're going to issue a baseline schedule. That is what the owner is going to hold you accountable for. Okay, and that's the one that goes on there. Okay? The other thing is no changes are made to a baseline. Okay, and I'll explain more about that in a second here. But number 3 is your master schedule. And this one, you make changes to. Because you're going to have to manage this project and you need to keep things on track. The only two things that don't change on the master schedule is your fixed start and fixed end dates. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean you can't start the project later than what your baseline schedule said, but usually you got some date where you started this thing. You got some date you're going to try and end on. Those are the two things you're trying to manage between starting the project and finishing the project. Everything else that happens in the middle is called project management. Construction management depends on whatever field you're in. But generally, you're managing a schedule and you're going to make changes to it. There's no two ways about that. Okay. Number two, you should lock this schedule away. And that's to prevent any changes. So if you're going to put that someplace, you put it and you hide it. So you only go back to it when you absolutely need it, but you do not edit it. So you want to put a password on it if it can. Do something to keep yourself from getting back in there or somebody else getting in there and playing with it. That's the schedule that you actually agreed to the contract terms for. Okay. Now there's number 4, and this one I alluded to earlier. This is a look ahead. Okay. And this one is a short term of short term of 2 to 6 weeks. I've seen these go out to 8 weeks, but basically what you're trying to do is plan ahead. Okay, so it's a plan ahead schedule. So it's a plan ahead schedule, 2 to 6 weeks. I'm talking to the site superintendent. I'm talking to the subcontractors. I'm trying to find out where they are in their possibility of getting work done. And is there anything I need to know about that could cause me problems or that they need help with? All that sort of stuff's part of that. Okay. Guys hanging in there so far? Like I said earlier, you've probably got enough of online presentations all day. All right, let's see. I want you back out of there. Okay. All right. So here's where we're heading in the next couple weeks here. So we will talk more about next topics coming up are critical paths and work breakdown schedules. These two go together. There's no real way to separate them. Critical paths will keep you busy trying to figure out dates. Work breakdown schedules, every time you do a schedule, you're looking for all the parts and pieces. And I will say this with work breakdown schedule, you will need to get a hold of contractors that know how to do this work and ask them for their advice. If you don't get help from them, go find somebody who can help you. Okay. All right. On that note, we'll end it early. That's 45 minutes worth of video to watch if anybody's got to watch it. And we'll see you on Wednesday. And hopefully, no more snow for a while. I get to go out and clean the driveway. So, all right. Any questions before I say we're done? I see no hands. I see no chat. Okay, folks. I'll see you on Wednesday.
The Newtown.
Yeah, go ahead, Zach.
So I went on yesterday, and
Yep.
I went to go look at the class for the quality improvement.
Yep.
And I click on that video that you put in there,
And it sucks.
and it said that the video is set to private.
Oh, well, that'd be even worse. I'll fix that one.
All right.
I also watched that one, and I'm not 100% sure that it worked out all that well, but I will go fix that. Thank you for letting me know that. All right.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay. See you all later.